When I was experiencing burnout, I had a watch. Actually, this watch. Uh, One of those that can track your steps and check your workouts. And what happened when I was actively experiencing burnout at work? I worked with 3, 4, and 5 year olds in the mental health field, and I got to the point where I dreaded going into work. I started to get irrationally upset at the kids. These are kids who don't know any better. They've learned poor social skills and they don't have much emotional regulation, and all of this is really because that's what they've learned from other people. So all of this culminated in my burnout. I didn't feel like I was doing anything to help the kids, because when my work was done at the end of the day, they went home, all of it got undone at home. They came back to the school, to me, and I redid the same stuff every day. And after getting hit and bit and all sorts of things, I got to the point, and getting back to the watch, where my watch would congratulate me on workouts. I don't know if you can tell by the look on my face, I hadn't been working out. And I don't know if you can tell just from me, I don't really work out. But my watch would be like, hey, that was an awesome 10-minute workout you did. And what had actually been happening for the last 10 minutes is a kid had been screaming in my face. And my heart was racing, and I was getting very close to like an anxiety or a panic attack, or I would start hyperventilating. And all of this was because I just felt completely helpless. I felt so trapped in what was going on that I didn't know what else to do. And I was basically like, no matter what I do, it's not helpful. No matter what I do, I'm just going to get attacked by these kids. Now, that being said, I want to give a little bit of backstory to what was going on in the rest of my life, even at work. My particular job of working directly with the kids was the only thing I was able to focus on. My managers were actively following up with me, were actively supporting me. My coworkers were all supporting me. The teachers told me every day how appreciative that they were for me being there and helping out with these kids that were struggling so hard. My fiance at the time, but my wife now, was actively supportive and basically doing everything she could to show me that I was still having a purpose and that what I was doing mattered. And I couldn't see it. From all those people, I was so wrapped up and felt so trapped that I was like, yeah, I know you believe that. I don't. I didn't believe any of it. So for me, and what we tend to see with a lot of people going through burnout, is struggles with your personal relationships, not necessarily snapping all the time. Can't really remember a time where I took out my frustration on anyone else. And that's just me and how I like to do things. I try not to snap at people, but that can't happen. The idea that I suddenly got sick a lot more, that was a thing where, when I started to miss more work, that was a tip off to my manager. What's going on? You've been sick a lot more recently than you used to be. And I had minor excuses at first. After maybe 2 weeks of feeling pretty burnt out, there was no more excuse. It was really just at a point where, you know what, I'm sick. Like I feel sick right now. And the main reason I was sick was because every time I would get anywhere near my job and that burnout feeling would get higher, I would tense up. My heart would start to race. My stomach would start to feel like it was going sour, and it would tighten up. And I just felt sick. And it got so bad that in the morning when I woke up, as soon as I thought, well, time to get ready for work, all those same things would happen because my body was getting ready to fight. My body was getting ready to deal with everything that was going on. I mentioned in the last video that some people, in the way they cope, they choose unhealthy techniques. Mine has almost always been food and smoking. I don't smoke regularly anymore. I officially quit 2.5 years ago. When I was going through the burnout, I didn't pick up smoking again, but I definitely smoked with friends in order to just find something that would make me feel like I had control. And that was something I had control over. I would even joke, you know what, I'm going to do this. I know it's bad for me, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's my choice and I'm going to. It's something I can control. And that was a huge part of the burnout philosophy. Same thing with food. You know what? I know that eating junk food all the time and eating nothing but fast food isn't necessarily the most helpful thing for me. And yet, that was another thing that I chose to do because I just didn't care. I was just so burnt out. I just really didn't care anymore. The disengagement from relationships, you start to not want to go do anything. I've seen it more so in some other people than what I experienced during my internship with mental health counseling. There were definitely some people that said, you know what, I don't care about my job, but at this point, I don't care about my relationship. I'm really struggling to care about my kids. There are a lot of things that can really affect people. So keep in mind that if you're feeling burnt out, whether you notice it or not, it will slowly but surely, the worse it gets, start to fade out to other people. There are ways to help with that. And one of the big ones is seeking that social support from people that you know, trust, and that will help take care of you, not just try to tell you what to do. Advice givers are some of the nicest and least helpful people in the world. I say that as I'm giving you a bunch of information and trying to give helpful tips. But the idea of you should do this is often unhelpful from most avenues. But the biggest thing when we're talking about what burnout can do is that it can just lead further and further down into a depression, into that depressed feeling. So if you feel like you're at that point and you're starting to get burnt out, I encourage you to go and find more information. Reach out to the people that you care about and who care about you. If you feel like that's not working or you can't find people like that in your life, seek out a professional. Find someone who is licensed to help you through this kind of stuff. Find someone, find a clergy from a church. If that's, if you feel comfortable in that setting as well. Whatever you can do to basically reach out and say, you know what, it looks like I'm struggling and I would love some help. If you have any questions, let me know down below. As always, I love to field your questions, share my knowledge as best I can, give any sort of value that I can, and most of all, just do anything possible to lessen the struggles that we go through on a regular basis. So I'm Cody Spears with Leads Geeks. Take care of yourselves.